I tag myself to you on this podcast. So you help grow my personal brand. You know, you give me a lot of authority in the space that I would not have. All right, welcome back to the latest episode of Game Day Glare. I'm Lance. I'm with E. This is the podcast for sports videographers. How you doing, E?
I'm doing good. Apparently, lots have changed since the last time we spoke. You've been shopping. We even got a new segment, I believe. So yeah, really excited.
Yeah, well, okay. So personal side, I've been upgrading some gear. So I'm filming this on the new A75. It's a camera that I've wanted for a long time. I had the A7 IV. I love that camera. I had an A7 III before the A7 IV that I loved. And the A7 V reminds me a lot of the A7S III. Does a lot of the same stuff, but an upgrade from all that. So I felt like it was time to pull the switch. And like last show, I talked about I upgraded a drone. Now I got a new camera. This isn't something that I usually do, but for me, it was the right time. So me and E were talking off camera about all the things we like and don't like with it and all that. But I really feel like I know people were expecting Sony to hit a home run with this camera, and for me, it fills a lot of the gaps that I needed filled in from the A7 IV. Now, I do think like maybe everyone was expecting like an 8K or stuff like that, but I don't really need that for what I do. So that's why for me, this camera in this price range made sense. And I've been happy, but I did forget like what it's like when you buy a new camera and you got to like add all your settings in. I was telling E, like, I'm not that smart. I probably should just exported my settings from my A7 IV. And I could just put them in the memory card and re-uploaded them. I did not do that. I sold the A7 IV, then I got the A7 V. So I just spent like an hour and a half putting back all my settings, all my little shortcuts and all that. But I'm really, really happy with it. Now I have only tested the video part. I haven't taken photos yet. So that's something that I will do because you could take 30 frames a second photos now with this camera. And it's pretty amazing. Like you used it, right? We had a whole segment on that. And even you were talking about maybe switching over. So what do you think the main reason for switching over to this camera would be?
Well, just like video wise, the quality is up there with my FX3. Like it's kind of on par with it in terms of image quality. There's a noise reset at 8000 ISO, which is nice. There's no overheating issues as far as I'm concerned. Like I tried it filming a basketball game at 4K 120, did not overheat. It just ticks all the sports videography boxes for me. Plus, it can do photos and in a great way. So, if I was like a fully hybrid shooter, like someone that does just as much photography as videography, or at least needs a good camera that can do both, like that would definitely be my go-to. And it's full frame as well, so it's a good thing as well. Like when you're thinking like either shooting from up close on the baseline and wanting like that extra wideness, or just in low light conditions, it does come in clutch in those situations.
Well, for me, it was really the 4K 60 I want to solve because I do have an FX3 that I use, and I was joking with you. I'm like, did my FX3 just become my B cam? But they each have different jobs. Like, I was filming the other day, my FX3, so I'm doing a shotgun mic. I have 2 lapel mics that I'm using at the same time too, where the FX3 is perfect for that. Where the A7 IV is better if I'm doing like a single interview and I have to take photos after or something. So different cameras for different workflows. At least that's how I'm using it. But I am very, very happy. But like it solved those problems. First of all, it only happened to me once. I overheated with my A7 IV, but that was because I was overheating too. It was a crazy hot room. But I don't like having that thought in the back of my mind. And the ULANZI fan that we've talked about on the show many times, I have it with me. So it's there to save my ass if I was to ever overheat. But I was tired of having that in the back of my head, especially on long shoots, sometimes when you're doing like a 2-camera interview. So that problem is now gone. And can I just talk about one thing? I love the new screen. That was my first interaction with that new 4-axis screen. It's so nice to film. I don't really need a monitor anymore, I don't feel, because I just flip up the screen where I can just look down now and get that shot instead of looking to the side and having it. And it's something really minute, but it makes a huge difference. And it feels so comfortable in your hand. The grip's a little bigger. So those little changes that Sony did, especially, we are Sony advocates. We do like our Sony cameras. But for me, those two little changes are a big upgrade. And I obviously moving forward, I don't see Sony ever going to a different screen. Well, like all new cameras should come out with that screen. Like I don't think they should ever put the old screen back. And it is a little bit sharper and brighter than my FX3 screen, but it just feels nice that I am able to adjust it exactly how I need it instead of just always flip to the side and you're blocked by your audio wire or you don't have that issue anymore. So it is nice. So today, actually, we want to talk about like the best investments we made in our careers. Okay, so whether it's gear, because we just actually talked about gear, we'll talk about gear. We're going to talk about making friends or meeting people, putting yourself out there, learning how to edit faster, all that stuff. But before we do start that, I do want to. I think every episode now we're going to just take like a quick 5 minutes, talk about new gear or new software or stuff that it's a lot of stuff that actually E and I talk about off cam that we kind of just don't fit in because we kind of go with subjects, but we just figured we're going to have a little segment about like new gear or new trends that we see coming in. So the first thing I want to do is I want to thank ULANZI, who just sent us this JJ06 tripod to try out. I just received it before we press record, so I haven't really tested it yet, but next episode I'll give you guys a full rundown. But this tripod actually solves a lot of problems for people. And first of all, it's very portable. It's lightweight. It's carbon fiber. And it actually can shoot at 90 degrees. So it's great for desktop shots, for those overhead angles, for box openings and stuff like that. So this might be something that a lot of you guys are interested in. And it's pretty high. Like it's probably like it goes to about probably my nose in height. So for sports, if you have to shoot over people or that, this could be a good portable camera. So I'll give you guys a full review on it next episode. I want to thank ULANZI for sending it out. But we do want to talk about some new gear. So I just talked about my A75 and that, but you were actually talking to me off cam about like, when is it time to trade in your gear, right? And I think that's one of the things we'll go into our subject now, but that's one of the things that is hard as a videographer. It's when to invest in gear and when is your gear working for you? Because we all get to that point where like, okay, my shotgun mic works, it works. I don't need to upgrade it. But yet, there's a lot of new stuff. There's a lot of new technology. So for you, you're a lot different than me. I upgrade a lot. I buy a lot of gear and that. You're more reserved. You're like, listen, I don't really need it. So maybe you can like talk about why you hold on to your gear and for you, when it's time for you personally to feel like it's time to upgrade that gear.
Well, I think it's just because it's so expensive. It's not something that you just add on and just for the sake of doing it. I guess if you take it as a hobby, then it's all about what you like and what you don't like. But when it's a business, it's, profit and loss. Like it has to come into the conversation. But yeah, for me, it's either because if I'm buying something, it's either because it's allowing me to do something for my clients that I wasn't able to do before, or it's because it makes my workflow way more convenient or faster, or just it helps me be better at my job, or at least like make the workflow just like easier for me. So yeah, those are the main two reasons. Like if it's just like, oh, this camera has like an extra, I don't know, like a 4K with no crop, for example, like the A75, like or like some feature that I don't have on my camera. Like, does it make my workflow faster or more convenient? Things like that? Not really. Does it add value to my clients? Technically, yes, but like I'll see it. Will they? Probably not. So from for that reason, like I wouldn't spend, $4,000 on something that I'm the only one who's going to notice. I'm not going to make more money from it. I'm not going to work less hour because of it. at the end of the day, it's just I'm spending $4,000, but no one notices any differences except for me watching my videos and thinking, oh yeah, I like that shot. It's a bit wider, or there's a bit less noise or something like that. So like I won't buy equipment just for the sake of like making little improvements to my videos that no one will notice but me. But if it is something that now I can produce a video that I couldn't before, like I said, something that will allow me to get like for example, if I'm shooting a media day for the first time, I'm probably going to buy a gimbal, because if I didn't have a gimbal, I'm probably not going to be able to do a lot of the shots that the client are expecting. So things like that, like, if I don't have like a proper microphone, I won't be able to do the interview that they want me to do, or like things like that. So that for those reasons, yes, I'll buy gear. Or if like just buying, for me, like when I started doing my YouTube videos and I was shooting myself, like I am now, my camera at the time didn't have like eye tracking for autofocus. It was just like center fix and that's it. So the camera would always focus on my neck and my face would be slightly out of focus. And it was a pain I basically had to do like a manual focus. So it was like literally putting something here, going to adjust the manual focus, then removing like the broom or whatever it was that I've put in my spot, and just like film myself for a few seconds, watch the clip on my computer just to make sure that, because it's hard on the LCD screen to see if it's like that, if it's really in focus. So just that back and forth was taking me so long that when I bought a new camera, I bought it simply just to have that autofocus that was going to make my YouTube videos, like the shoot, just go way faster, because I didn't have to do, because that back and forth sometimes would be like 5, 6, 7 times. So yeah, so just like reasons like that are very like matter of fact and that have an obvious impact, I'll buy the best gear. Like I don't really cheap out. I go for the best that solves my issue in the best way. But before I get there, I need a real reason.
So first of all, I want to thank you for calling me out for spending money on new gear, because everything you're saying, I'm like, did I do that? Now, the gear that I upgraded recently, I had it for over 3 years, and for me, I felt like it was time. But you are right that you don't have to stay with the newest trend. You know, if your shotgun mic works, why would you get a new one, kind of thing. So even for me, it takes a while for me to pull the trigger. I'm a little easier convinced than you, E. But I made sure when I was upgrading that I was filling in gaps that were for me. My clients will not notice if I'm shooting on A74, A75, FX3, GoPro even. You know, like, yeah, maybe there's a bit of quality difference, but at the end of the day, for what I'm selling, it has to be about, you know, the scripting, the development, the outcome of the videos, all that, what you're actually showing them doesn't change that much. So when you are upgrading gear, you know, make smart choices. But what I did do before I upgraded my gear is I looked at what was possible with my old gear. So I already had an idea of what I can sell my old gear for. I made sure it still had value, because some people get a little sentimental with gear and they hold on to it, and then they hold on to it so long that it's not really worth anything anymore. So there's that fine line. So that's what when I did upgrade stuff, I look to see, okay, what's worth keeping, what's worth trading, what's worth helping someone else out and selling it on Facebook Marketplace. And, you know, I do price to sell. Like, you know, I sold my A74 at a very good price to help out somebody too. I'm not really trying to make money off of it or maximize my profits. I want to make sure that it sounds silly, but I want to make sure my old camera that I loved is in good hands and, you know, going to continue on. So it sounds weird. I know, but that's how I think.
Sounds made up. That's what it sounds like.
It sounds made up.
I'm telling you, if I look like a quote unquote piece of shit, but I offer you $200 more, you wouldn't sell it to me.
Listen.
Right.
Maybe, but I try. Okay, I try. But the thing is with gear, there's so much gear that comes out every year, and it's really personal preference of what it is you need. So like, this camera I upgraded because it solved my 4K 60 problem. It solved my overheating problem. It's a little bit better quality, but those were my two real concerns. Where when it came to my drone, the main reason why I upgraded my drone was I had my Mini Pro 3 for 3 years. I flew that all the time. It was a great tool. I felt the new one, it was like I waited 2 models. I felt like the upgrades were worth it for me to upgrade because I was tired of, flying my drone. I'm getting texts and calls on my phone, and it's really nice to just have that screen and the extra obstacle avoidance. They put more sensors, they put more safety features. Those are very important in drones. So for me, I was like, okay, it's time to upgrade those things. And then I sold them off. Where I was questioned, like, why did I sell? Why didn't I just keep it? And I'd rather sell the stuff and get it out than just have it sit on a shelf. And I think that's what you guys got to do too, is, do a self-assessment. Look in your camera bag. Because even me, he knows I have a damn heavy camera bag, and there's stuff in my camera bag I probably don't need. Where packs this little light knapsack, pulls out what he needs, and he's good to go. And these are things that you have to realize. Like, you don't always need all this gear. You don't always need the stuff. Get the stuff that you actually need, and that's a better investment. I think it's not about the price in that. It's like, what am I actually using? What do I actually need to use?
No, I agree. We probably should have introduced the new segment and then talked about your A75, because I feel like we introduced a new segment, but then went really into today's topic.
Yeah, that's true. It's okay. Well, I'll do that. The new segment we'll do next week when I talk about the ULANZI tripod, and that I'll give it a full run through. Yeah, we kind of just went right into
basically the first conversation about your A75. Was the new segment. Well, we just just said it at the end instead of at the beginning.
Exactly. I will say though, one thing I did show E, because I have this here right here, is this is what you get. You just get a camera and a battery. That's it. There's no more chargers. There's no more wires. There's no nothing. Oh, there's a strap in here too. Yeah. That's it. So they went like the Apple
across
way.
The board with new cameras, with Sony. They try to save wherever they can, and they'll say that they're doing it for environmental reasons or whatever. But they know there's gone are the days where you get a proper like battery charger and all these other things.
But I'm getting about 20% more battery life easily with the new camera. Like it takes less juice, so that's one thing too. But I mean, it is a new fresh battery that lasted forever. So we'll see. But anyway, so next up, now that we talked gear and we talked about like how I have, issues of selling my gear and that, I think one of the most important things you can invest in, and for me, this was probably the most important, it's relationships. And yeah, like this relationship, honestly, at one point, I was just a guy who moved into E's office who E didn't want in his office, because I was put in a studio and E had this big office, and part of it was all junk. And then E's desk, and I cleaned up all the junk, and there was a desk under there, remember? And I moved it all and cleaned it, and then I came and moved in with you. But I was just a coworker, and then we became friends. But working on those relationships, I feel, is really, really important, especially in the videography world, because people like people. You have to like people that you work with, and if you're make it easy and you smile and you're easy to work with, you're going to get a lot more gigs. So work on those personal relationships as much as you can.
No, definitely. I think it's when you get hired more often than not, or like repeatedly, like it's usually because people enjoy working with you more than because you're the best at what you do. Like, being the best is what's going to get you the gig in the first place, but being nice to people and getting along with people and being easy to work with is what's going to get you back again and again. So yeah, definitely it's a big part of the job, I'm assuming, in every job, really.
Yeah,
but especially for freelancers.
And now the game's changed, right? You can add people on socials. We talk to people that we never even met in real life, but we met them through, our reels, through our podcast, and we get to talk to them, and then we become friends that way. Like it's a completely different way than when E and I grew up. And even like for me, LinkedIn, okay? I did not have a LinkedIn account till 2020. And the reason for that is I had a full-time job. I didn't need LinkedIn. At least that's what I thought. But that was a huge mistake because I should have been adding a lot of those contacts while I was working with them. Because I worked with a lot of, higher up people and say, or would have to approve videos from like AEG or Live Nation or the Toronto Raptors or whoever. And then I add them later on when I didn't have a job anymore, where it would have been a lot easier to add those people while we were working together, while we were in constant emails together, while I was fresh on their mind, instead of getting a email later on saying, "Oh, Lance wants to add you on LinkedIn." They accepted. They did accept. But like, I'm sure for them, it was like, "Oh, who's this guy coming out the woodwork?" So while you're making these relationships and that's where it's important to maybe add them to your digital profile also, because recruiters or other people who look, they do check those kind of things and say like, "Oh, who's on his list?" Now, obviously Facebook and Instagram's a little different. I would suggest too is having like a company one and a personal one. Like you do that too. I do that. You have your company, you have your Beyond the Game one, and you have your personal one. And add those people to those company sites and work on that relationship that way. And you know what? One thing that I try to do too is if one of my friends posts a good video in that, I'll write them on the side, "Hey man, that was a great video. That was inspiring. Oh man, great shot." Stay in contact with people because it's easy to do a job. You film an event, you film something, you walk away, and then you don't keep in contact with those people. So work on those relationships because they will go a long way and they will help you out in the future more than you think. And that's a big, big mistake that I did not do when I was younger. I would just like do the job, go home, rinse and repeat. Where now I really cultivate those relationships and it really pays off.
Oh no, I agree, and it's also important. Like depending, if you're freelancing, like it's always good to invest your time in like networking and which is something that I suck at because I don't have patience for chit chat and like little conversations like that about the weather and about this and that. But yeah, it's important that that's how you meet people that eventually turn into clients or that turn into someone that's going to have a conversation with someone you've never met before about something that you do. And they're going to say, "Oh, I think I know someone who could help you with this." And then they'll put you in contact. So like the more people you network with, the more you show up at games, like talking to people, introducing yourself to other videographers, photographers, coaches, whatever. Like just talk, make sure they know who you are and what you do, and then eventually, like just yeah, it's an investment. Like because bottom line, like this video, if it's not clear yet, it's about investing in you can be investing in gear, investing in yourself, investing in your relationships. So yeah, investing in your relationships and in networking, putting yourself out there, that's gonna obviously, as long as you're good enough, it's gonna come back to you with more clients, more opportunities at least.
Well, so right now, I'll let you guys in on a personal story, but I'm actually talking to a company about a possible contract. Now they have two events. There's a possibility of shooting two events or having a year contract with them. And this contract offer all came up because I had lunch with the lady by mistake, by chance. I was at a conference filming, shooting, editing, doing all this stuff. And I was lucky because they play like my videos. So I did I did pre-videos of these honorees that they showed during the conference. And then I'm taking photos and I'm filming the conference. And then they have a lunch. And the lunch is just a regular buffet. You go grab your food and you just pick any table beside anybody and you sit down. I ended up sitting down beside this lady. We started chatting. Turns out she's in charge of hiring videographers and photographers and all that stuff for her company. And I gave her my business card and she reached out right away. I was lucky because she got to see all my stuff, my work firsthand. She was watching me work before I knew who she was. She knew who I was. But just by the chance of sitting down at her table and opening up a conversation with her and introducing myself, it gave me the possibility. Now, this job might not happen. This contract might not come. Doesn't matter. The opportunity was there just because I was friendly. I had small talk. I introduced myself. I listened to her story. She listened to mine. And that was it. And we've had 2 meetings that have been great so far where we talk about work. We talk about personal stuff. We talk about the experiences we had. And it's all from sitting down at a table with strangers and introducing myself. So it does go a long way. And I'm not saying this is going to happen all the time, but there are a lot of opportunities when you put yourself out there. So it's very, very important to do that because it is easy to just, and we're tired. Like, I'm running around shooting and taking photos and doing all this stuff, yeah, I probably just want to eat my lunch and go through my stuff and dig myself into my work. But that's where the maturity comes in now, where 22-year-old Lance would have just ate his lunch and gone back taking photos after. Where now the older 25-year-old Lance, you know, takes.
So you're 25.
Yeah, I was checking to see if you're paying attention. You know, the older, more mature Lance now puts himself out there more and I'm more interested in working on those relationships and meeting people, because I am in different cities and different venues and stuff. So I might as well make the most of it and meet the most people I can. And every time I do leave an event, I always have about 4 or 5 new LinkedIn people that I've added or they've added me just through those conversations. Now, that might lead to something, it might not. But if I don't put myself out there, I'll never know.
True. I would suggest not talking about yourself at the third person when you're talking to them.
I don't. Only on the podcast, okay? And exactly. For the podcast record, E is a little bit younger than me. Our birthdays are the same a week apart, but he is a little bit younger than me, okay?
It's true. Don't you ever
It's
forget.
In May, guys. If you want to send presents and stuff, we do accept.
Well, you got yours already. The ULANZI,
that's it. Yeah. I'm excited to try that. And honestly, it's a pretty good travel tripod. I'm always looking for a travel tripod, so I'm pretty pumped to test it out this week. I'll have to pick your brain, because you're the equipment guy. You're the guy who always reviews gear online. So I'll have to see how you do it. All right, you want to take us into next topic or something else you want to
another
add?
thing, well, no, just another thing that you can, like we talked about, investing in gear, investing in relationships. You also need to invest in yourself, basically. So it's like, what do you do to get better, to put in systems? Like, how do you invest in yourself in a way to make you like better at your craft?
I kind of geek out a bit, and I do a lot of online courses. So usually for me, the way that my year works is between January and March. It's usually a quieter time because, we're Canadian and we live in this cold environment. So I'm in the house more. So that's when I try and invest on my online learning. So like for me personally right now, I've been doing AI courses. So I've already done a ChatGPT, a Lovable, Claude course. I'm getting this AI certification. Now you might say like, well, he's in sports videography. Why would he need that? I need that for other aspects of my life. But the way the world is coming right now with all this AI, I feel like I'm better off to get ahead of it. Okay. So, and I've done that in the past. Like I've done that in the past with Premiere Pro. I usually like log on to old Premiere Pro courses once a year, even like DaVinci Resolve sometimes, just to kind of refresh, because it's one of those things where there's some tools in our editing software we don't use. And, sometimes I want a little refresher, or be like, oh yeah, I can use that. Or I'll watch tutorials. Like what E does on YouTube is great. Like when, like your CapCut one the other day, like I haven't used CapCut since I had that focus problem. But when I see all those effects you use in CapCut, I'm like, oh yeah, I should dive into that. Oh, I should look at that. Because the thing is, there's so much that we can learn. And I want to learn it all. The problem is you can't learn it all at the same time. So I try and pace myself and I try and learn some new things. So I've been deep diving into some application software, or I'm going to like, other things over Chat GPT, trying to branch out there more in that. So that's how I personally try to develop myself. Now for you guys out there, I suggest like watching channels like Ease Beyond the Game and that, and trying things that you haven't tried, but also learning from people who've done it. Because that's the whole point of this online learning, is you're saving time by learning from somebody who's already been in your position. And learning from people like that just speed up the process. And it's also nice that you can always go back and you can always reference what they're doing. So that's how I invest in myself, and it helps me sharpen my skills. Like for you, E, I'll ask you a question. Like when you're doing a YouTube video, so say your CapCut one last time in that, like you're learning a lot of that stuff, or most of that stuff, before you're going on. Like, yes, you have a basics, but what's that deep dive research like for you? Because you're investing in yourself without even realizing it, right?
Yeah. Well, to answer your question specifically, I mean, like just doing like doing a CapCut video, for example, forces me to learn more about CapCut. So I by doing it, it's not like I'm researching CapCut for months before then and then I do the video. It's more like I go into it, trial and error, and then I get out of it better, knowing more stuff. But that's that's a process that, like, if if I, like I was telling you, I think off air, like I want to do more CapCut content because beginners are using it a lot, and I feel like I don't know enough about it to help them with it. So I'm gonna try to learn more. And then when I'm in a situation like that, it just brings me back to earlier in my career, basically, where like when you don't know, when you want to learn something, like you can either just do trial and error for months or years or whatever, or you can actually go get some information, whether it's an online course or YouTube videos or an actual like physical like course or class, I should say. But whatever path you choose, they're all good. It just, first of all, you should choose the one that fits your needs and your personality and your way of learning. But also, like, because like if you compare online with an online course and free YouTube videos, the information is the same, but it's just, and that's true for my online course. That's true for every online course out there that comes from a YouTube channel. Like all the info in the online course is on the YouTube channel, but it's across 100 YouTube videos. Some of those videos will be like 100% relatable to what you're trying to learn. Some of them will be 5%, 10%. So you can either watch all the videos and take out what you need, or you can have all the information that you need all in one place, organized, and that you can go through like in the right order and go back to when you have questions or you're not sure or you forgot something. So that's convenience. It's the difference between going to a convenience store or going to wholesale place and having to go through all the shelves and alleys and all that stuff. Like, it's probably going to be cheaper, but it's way more convenient to just cross the street and go to the convenience store. So you pay an extra price for that convenience. Same rule applies to online courses. You're paying for convenience. But either way, like you do the YouTube thing, you do the online course, it's just a matter of you're gonna save time at the end of the day, like getting a basic understanding. And for example, with me, for me with CapCut, like I'll probably watch a couple of videos that are CapCut for beginners, and let's learn about the timeline and how to start a project and how to do all these different things. And I'll have CapCut open at the same time, and I can do it and make sure that it is exactly what they say in the video. And because that way, what you don't want to do is just start using a software or a camera or something and just sort of try to find your way through it. And you'll find a way, but you'll probably miss out on a lot of things, or start doing things a certain way that could be done way faster, and you just don't know because you never learned it. And then you build like bad habits, or you don't you struggle using your autofocus because you didn't realize that there was a setting that could be adjusted and make your life way easier and get more shots in focus and get better footage. So get the theory like first, and then just go and practice and get better at it and find your own way of doing things based on actual learning. So yeah, all that to say that it is important in my eye to invest in some type of learning when it comes to like new gear or a new editing program or things like that. Just get the basics and then get the reps in.
Yeah. I think one of the things you could really invest in is your editing. And when I say invest in your editing, is speed things up. Find ways to be more efficient and faster. Because obviously the longer you take at these edits, the more money it can cost you, or the more time you're putting into it, so you're actually making less money for your time. And that's something like, as silly as it can be, is learn your keyboard shortcuts, learn your software in and out. And that's something that I was talking about AI before, that I'm realizing like I'm jumping between all these platforms, and it's better to just focus on one. So like I focus on one, I'm kind of try to master. You can't really master AI right now because they switch every week. There's always new updates. There's always, but get comfortable in one, and then you could try another one. And I suggest the same thing with your editing software. So if you're using Adobe Premiere, stick to Adobe Premiere and learn everything you can in Adobe Premiere. If you feel like CapCut because of you watched E's video and you're like, hey, there's some really cool effects in there and that, then stick to CapCut for a while and really get comfortable there, because that will speed up your workflow and that will make you more efficient. What was something that you worked on, E, when you first started out? You said, okay, like I got to work on this, or I really want to get better in this. Like for me, my challenge used to always be After Effects. I used to always tell myself, like, I'm going to do After Effects. I'm going to do this After Effects program. Well, now there's AI, so I don't need to. So it was good I never learned. But for you, is there something that you think that you should have done?
Yeah, well, After Effects as well, like, is definitely something that I had to spend extra time to learn how to do. And I probably didn't properly do what I just talked about, which is like learn the basics the right way. Like I did, sorry, I did, but not as in depth as I should have. But I did use a lot of templates and learn sort of on my own that way. Otherwise, yeah, it's just like you said, just trying to find ways to be faster and knowing that there are tools available in your editing program to help you achieve. Jesus Christ. Sorry. I got.
Do you need CPR?
Yeah. I just finished my drink as well, so I can't do anything about it. Well, yeah, I'll be fine. I'll keep it short though. But yeah, just learning those different like how to do a speed ramp faster. Like it's, when you start, you have your clip at 100% speed, and then you just cut it, and then you have the rest of your clip that you just cut out. You'll put that at 50% speed, so you're always just like going with. You never really use keyframes and stuff, and at some point you're like, all right, I got to learn how to do a proper speed ramp where I can use keyframes and adjust it and all that sort of stuff. So at some point, like, you just stop going the easy way and try to find the right way, and then the right way becomes the easy way. So yeah, it's just learning little things like that make you better, and yeah.
That's a good example, and that becomes part of your system, and that's why, like, we had a show a couple weeks ago all about systems, right? And even when you're editing and you're trying to speed up, if you do have a system, it could be something silly of the way you import your footage, the way you organize your stuff. If you stick to a certain routine just to get organized and eventually become faster, all that, and you will become faster as an editor, and you'll be, you're delivering faster. You won't feel stressed. Like, even like personally right now, I have a project that I got to get done by today or maybe tomorrow morning, and it's in the back of my mind, but I know I'm going to be able to do it. I know if I could do it in 4 hours because of the system I have in place. The final part is like when I find tweak stuff, and that sometimes I go a little overboard and I'm too meticulous on what I want in it. But I know the rough edit, like I know I'll be done that rough edit in 2 hours with my system that I have, especially what I have. Then I'll go back and forth and I'll do the rest. But knowing that system gives you confidence and saves you a lot of time. So, when it comes to post-production, learn your software and learn how you can be efficient in it.
Yeah, no, that's true. And yeah, the last thing I think that it's important to invest in, we kind of touched on it earlier when we were talking about relationships and networking, but it's your personal brand. So like invest in being seen, invest in being out there. So how do you do that, Mr. Big Business?
Well, I tag myself to you on this podcast. So you help grow my personal brand. You give me a lot of authority in the space that I would not have.
Yeah.
No, just all joking aside.
Knows who you are.
That's it. You know what? Growing your personal brand is very challenging. And it's challenging, I think, because of my age. Where I see younger kids who just post stuff all the time. Every time they're at a job, they're posting, and I'm really happy for them. Me, I have a hard time. If I posted the 42 nights a year that I was at the Bell Center, I feel like I would be showing off and showing too much. So I try and grow my personal brand in a different way. So I try and grow it through this podcast by, helping people out, showing the authority that we have in the space, showing the knowledge that we have. On LinkedIn, what I do is I share a lot of client projects. So like just yesterday, I spent an hour and a half and I posted my next 20 LinkedIn posts. and they're all client projects that I'm sharing, client videos, and I'll give some authority in those posts. So what I try to do is show like, hey, this is why we filmed it. This is what we expect out of it, and this is who's in it. Or I'll give like a little story about like how I had fun doing it and that. So like I did one video that I shared on LinkedIn yesterday. It's with these two brothers that own a company in Montreal, and we did like some. One's the president, one's the vice president, but they're both owners of the company. So we kind of did like a fun brother series. And I asked them like who's more competitive. And they got into this whole thing about NHL 94. So I don't know if you kids know out there, but E and I used to play NHL 94. And in NHL 94, there was a cheat move where you can go on the boards, go to the corner, come back up, come from the net, and you scored every time. So they had this whole discussion about this cheat move, okay, and how one brother always won. And it's funny because I connected to that video right away because it brought me back to my childhood. And anyway, I'm off topic here, but I shared that on LinkedIn to show my perspective of like, hey, I'm not just here to film a video. I'm here to tell a story, and I'm relating to the story. So for me, it didn't feel like work, you know? And I build my brand by showing people like, I'm here doing video not for the money. I'm doing video because I love doing video. It's what I've done since I was 12 years old, since my friend Ian got his first high-8 camera, and we used to make silly movies in his basement all the time. This is what I love to do. This is why I do it. So that's how I build my brand, by showing people like, if you succeed, I succeed. So I'm coming to your company or filming your sporting event, and I'm going to give you the best I can give you, because I want your product to succeed. And by you succeeding, I'm going to succeed. And that's how I try to build my brand, is not just by, overpowering people with all the cool stuff that I do from time to time. It's just, I just try to show them the value you get when you work with me, and show that like, I know my shit, and I'm here to help you. Like where you build your brand a different way. And I'm actually envious of the way you did it. So I remember when you left and you went to Australia, and I first saw Beyond the Game, and YouTube was growing. But now when I look at you on YouTube, I'm like, man, I wish I would have put myself out there like you did, because now you've built something. And
yeah, it's never too late.
Listen, no, it's never too late. But like what people don't understand is it takes a long time, and you put in a lot of reps to get where you're going to build your personal brand. And now you're almost there. But it's a lot of work and dedication and discipline. And that's what I'm envious about you, is you have the discipline to do it. Where sometimes I feel like I can do it, but I question the discipline. So why don't you walk me through that, like how you build your personal brand? Like, just the other day you had an Easter sale, and you're putting all this stuff on your Easter sale, and you're preparing for that. But you talked to me about that weeks before, and you already know where you want your personal brand to go. So maybe you're probably the better one to talk about personal brand.
Yeah, well, I mean, like for me, it was about, because when I started my YouTube channel, originally I was just going to do like little short documentaries, things like that around sports. But there was no real way to turn that into a business, because it was hard to be consistent, because I needed access to professional players. and also because if I'm going to, I was covering a lot of UFC events at the time. So like if I'm going to cover a UFC event, other than getting a sponsor that's going to pay me to go to an event or something like that, there was no real way like to monetize talking about something that I don't own. And also like it involved using sometimes like footage of that I didn't produce myself. So it's hard to guarantee that an income from all these variables that I don't control. So all that to say that when I got into sports videography, it was really something that I could control, that was 100% my own, and that I could see building a business behind it, which is, selling my packs, my digital packs, my services, all that stuff. So then I could see like a business, a proper like business path. And I went all into that. But, so to build my brand was to make me an authority in the sports videography industry. And and that's what I try to do. And then I'm always been like, I'm not a great salesperson. Like I'm not someone who's going to convince you that I'm the best or that my products are the best. And I know what all I can do is, well, not all I can do, but what I typically do is just go with the idea that like the proof is in the pudding. So I'm just showing you what I've got, how I use it, how I can make it, what's the difference between using it and not using it, and then it's going to speak for itself. And if you like it, you'll buy it, sort of thing. So that's how I sold my services as a sports videographer throughout my career. It always worked. So that's the approach that I had of like making more and more YouTube videos talking about myself, what I like, always not talking about myself, but like helping, younger versions of me get to where I am. And just the more you learn, the more you trust me, basically. So I'm always trying to teach you something you didn't know before. And by doing that, people learn from me and then respect my opinion, and then kind of potentially want to buy stuff from my company. So, and it's funny because now if I reach out to a new team, or like, especially when I moved back to Canada and I didn't really have any contacts in the industry, just reaching out to teams, because of my YouTube channel, like straight away, or even people hiring me, like straight away, they're like, oh yeah, we want to work with you, because they watch my YouTube channel. They know they don't have to like go through like an interview, or can you send us your demo reel, or can I see your portfolio? They're like, no, we're good. Like, we want to work with you. Like, it's not a conversation. So it's something that kind of my reputation precedes me in a way, in a very niche in a very niche industry. Look, it's not like I'm internationally known in any other place than sports videography, but yeah, so it's that's how I kind of did it, and that's how you can do it in any field. Really, it's just a matter of showing people that you're good at what you do, but not just by bragging and talking about yourself, but by teaching them stuff. Because I think if you learn from someone, then obviously that person knows what they're talking about, because they taught me so many different things. So that's all it is about for me. Like, I'm really in the educational kind of space, and all I'm trying to do is make you learn stuff, because when people learn from you, they see you as an authority, they respect your opinion, they respect any type of advice you're going to give them. They're going to listen to what you have to say. So yeah, it's all about making sure that you're bringing value to every single video. If I can just bring something, just one thing that you didn't know before in every single video that I do, like, I'm happy. So that's how I approached it. And it's it's a slow burn. It's not like I'm doing viral content, but it's a library. Like, every video I've made, well, for the most part, because some of them are talking about old technologies, but for the most part, every video that I make can be watched 3, 4, or 5 years down the line and still be relevant. So I'm just building this library, and just people, find it by YouTube or Google searches, and here we are.
And let's clear something up. You are internationally known, because Beyond the Game was made in Australia, and now you're living in North America, back in Canada. So, buddy, you're international, whether you like it or not. I think visibility brings opportunity, and what you did is you put yourself out there, and you became the brand. Because at the end of the day, like, we got nice logos and we got these, names and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, people, when they hear your name, it's you that they want to work with, and it's you who becomes the brand. So I know that Beyond the Game, I get to work with E, and that's how you're gonna resonate and build your brand. So put your best foot forward, and make sure that your clients, or people you work with, or people who see you working, have a good experience, and that you put out good content. And put in the reps, because that's how it is. And when you're building a brand, like, I've said this many times on the show, I don't enjoy putting myself out there. I don't enjoy being in front of a camera, but I just recently got asked to speak at a conference in the summer, and it scares the shit out of me. But at the same time, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it because A, I know I could bring some value to what they're talking about. But B, I get to put myself out there, and I get to meet new people, and then who knows? Maybe it can land to new friendships, new job, new clients. Who knows? And the same thing, E. We were talking about maybe you were going to do something online and all that, and you are the brand. People want to work with. Not all they listen to Beyond the Game, but they want to work with you. They want to work with E, and you. That's a mind shift for people. Is you become your personal brand, you the person. So don't worry about the comments on Facebook or the likes on Instagram or whatever. Post your stuff for you, and realize that it's for you. You're the brand. Don't worry about the logo.
No, I agree. So as we land this plane, basically recap is like what's important is to invest in what you believe is going to make you better. So whether it's the gear, like what can make you a better cameraman, whether for you in your own sort of way of doing things, your own workflow, or for the clients. And then editing, same thing. Like what can make you edit faster, can take your edits to a next level, things like that. And then same thing with your relationships and your brand, like what can make you a better business, get you more clients. So identify all these things and then invest in those.
Yeah, reinvest in yourself, whether it's selling gear and upgrading your gear, or whether it's taking an online course or whatever. This is a profession where you have to constantly reinvest in yourself, because there's always new trends, there's always new gear, there's always new things out there. There's always a new technique that someone's going to show you and you're going to be like, wow. So just keep reinvesting in yourself, and that's the best investment, I think. Because the more you grow, the better you'll get. That's good, no? or I'll use E's thing. If it's working, it's working. Don't upgrade your gear. I'm not buying anything.
That's right. Spend your money on drugs and alcohol. Way more fun.
Where I'm like, sell your old gear and reinvest it and buy some new gear. Okay, that's my piece of advice. But I've been doing a little too much of that, so I don't need any more new gear unless people like ULANZI want to keep sending us stuff. We'll definitely take that and test it out. And who knows, maybe we can do a giveaway or something eventually if we get enough stuff. But that's it. Today, honestly, guys, we're just trying to give you tips that we learned. Sometimes the hard way, like not investing in those relationships early on in my career, I feel like hurt me. And I feel like now I really make up for it. But everybody has their own thing. But as long as you keep investing in yourself, you will succeed and you will grow in this industry. So that's it for this episode of Game Day Glare. Take care, guys.
See ya.